All right. So, yeah, okay. I have a few comments and not so fast. Looks like I think the scope of the project, I think Dr. Velma Palmer mentioned that before, it was a little overwhelming. We're talking about policy level decision to number of weeds that we can actually require to put in there, shrubs and things like that. It's just too many things and too many details to absorb. Parking stall sizes, number of trees, and we're talking about policy level. So that was kind of a little bit overwhelming, and it just doesn't give. Uh, it's just not fair to the project, fair to the community, and it doesn't allow people to have a thorough evaluation of the project. Again, my comments are not don't take it as a negative sense because I'm supportive of the project, but I want to make sure that we can tweak some of the things that I see can be tweaked to make it better. So I think integration has been a big issue in the last two go rounds, integration of the project with the community. And that has been one of the biggest problems, along with other problems, why these projects failed. And obviously, we all have different opinions about height and density and all that, but all all of us agree that for a project of this magnitude to be successful, the community has to be part of it. Community has to feel part of the project, and there are certain things that make it happen. One is architectural design. Obviously, you understand that. Uh, the height, scale, density, they all have to be have some context. And I think one of the things that I would really like you all to do before you go to the commission is where does that 195 feet come from? Is it because you wanted to build a 17-story building and that's what it happens to be? Or there is a sequence of things that led you to believe that 195 feet is the right height at that right location? So, because you don't need 195 feet to do the density, you need the units you need. So I think there needs to be a little bit more um, substance behind that for me to support a comprehensive plan change to that height. And again, I'm not opposed to the density, but the density can be achieved without having to go 70 or 190 feet. So, but again, I'm not opposed to the height either, but I need to have a little bit more understanding of where you come from and how did you get to that. Uh, Public spaces, I know you all have spoken to public spaces a lot, but I still feel that a lot needs to happen because it's just not the connectivity, the public space. There's hardly anything that's showing the connectivity with the community, with the transit. I mean, I know you talked about it, but it doesn't have it, doesn't show it, doesn't delineate how you're going to do it. I mean, you don't even have a pedestrian crossing going across US 1 for the transit. I mean, that's as simple as that. So the connectivity, the public spaces are not spaces that are left over between buildings. They have to be designed and created, and then the buildings can help give it some form. So public spaces, I just think public spaces are one most important thing for community to become part of this project by being there, by enjoying the facility, by enjoying it in the afternoon, going there for a farmer's market or an art festival or whatever, concert, without having to go spend money in the shops, but enjoy the facility. And that's one way to integrate the community and get community engaged with the project. And I think that's very important. So, so just take that into consideration and see what you can do. But I do definitely like to see public spaces and how they bleed out into the connectivity and how it connects with the rest of the community. CRA, I think, you know, I think we have to have some discussion about how this project enriches the goals and objectives of CRA. It is part of CRA. It's a big chunk of CRA. So at least some discussion, acknowledgement. I mean, I know that the answers are going to be it's going to provide the TIF funding and the jobs and all that. I mean, I know all that routine stuff, but I think there's some acknowledgement that this is part of CRA, and we have to acknowledge that and see how can we reach out to the CRA's goals and objectives and how we can meet that. So I think that's to me is very important. Affordable housing, and it's fashionable to talk about affordable housing, but no one wants to do it because no one wants it anywhere. So, but I think here's an opportunity for city of South Miami, which is always talking about affordable housing, affordable housing, affordable housing. But here's 114 units. Sorry, 414 units, and why not some of the units set aside for workforce housing? I'm not talking about low income or workforce housing, which is I think 80% median to 120% median. Uh, why don't we have a covenant that requires that 10% of the units, 40 units, is set aside for workforce housing? So that's something that I think uh, in terms of the zoning code itself, I do have an issue with the reduction of the landscape code requirements. I would really like you to take a look at it a little bit more carefully. Landscape architect, let's take a look at that carefully. And I see that you have the palms, you're allowing 50%. We need more shade trees than palms. So the code right now it is 30% palm to extending to 50%. I don't think that's a good idea. Uh, the shrubs, number of shrubs requires a 10. Now you're doing down to 3. I mean, these are petty stuff. I mean, why? You're trying to do a class project. Don't nickel and dime with trees and shrubs. I mean, those are things make the space. So parking standards. I think if you go to any parking garages, the trend is bigger cars, SUVs. You can't park in an 8.5 foot. You go to that parking garage in Metro Rail South Miami. Every other space is sort of unusable because people straddle over lines. So I think 9 feet is 9 feet is, and then the aisle is 20 feet for a two-way traffic. That doesn't work. So right now, I think code requires 23 feet. I thought it was 24 feet, which is a standard, really. But anyway, I don't think that parking standard is going to work. That to me is a problem. Traffic study. I understand that you know everything is F, so everything meets the concurrency. But there's F and there's F. I mean, we cannot say that we keep putting more traffic and it's not going to impact. Mm. I think it would be wise for us to look at some of the intersections and some of the cross sections and see what improvements could alleviate some of the traffic issues. Uh, Again, it might not be concurrency; it might meet concurrency because it's F. So you can keep building, and there's never going to fail. So I would definitely suggest that you look at some off-site improvements to make the project a little bit more palatable, and also look at things like having a zip car or car sharing housed in the project, so that the residents can utilize them readily. So other ways of uh, uh, minimizing or reducing the internal traffic. Uh, so the 17 stories, the entryway, gateway, I think it obviously works very well. I think someone mentioned flat iron, which I would have liked to have seen a flat iron type of architecture, but all I have is the balconies for the hotel. So I don't know if that's the gateway to South Miami. Maybe it's a different thing should be. I mean, again, it's just observation I'm making. I just don't think the balconies, 17 stories of balconies for the hotel is the gateway to South Miami. Uh, Red Road, we have heard this argument before. Oh, we have windows and doors and everything, and all the stores will open up that way, and that's how plans were presented. But it's still, uh, those stores will have double face. And what happens from inside?
Would you like me to address just that one issue?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I've been taking notes.
yeah.
In the retail plan right now, which is not yet completed, there's some stores that can face out toward Red Road, like currently exist, and also toward the Banyan Court. So what we're looking at is end caps that actually are the full store that wrap in front of the San Remo Plaza, which I'd like to address also when we have the opportunity. And also the fact that we have smaller stores along Red Road in the arcade that we could have that don't necessarily go all the way through to Banyan Court.
Okay, so it's a double loaded kind of.
Yeah,
So, okay. Uh, because otherwise, the stores that are through and through, they basically just close out the Red Road entrance, and we got white paper pasted on the glass. Uh, on the seven, what is that? What is it? 17 stories, 19 stories? What do you have? 17-story building. I wouldn't mind seeing some stepping back on Red Road, uh, because you have the building set back from the base towards Red Road. Maybe you can set it away from the Red Road. Uh,
I'll be happy to show you, but when you look at the plan more closely, we have stepped the building back, the entire building, not just the hotel, but also the apartments, are stepped back from Red Road
okay.
in a different plane than the ones that are part of the village.
All right. So those are some of the comments I have. So